to conclude the Advent season, the highlights, the gospel and the readings highlights the figure of the role of God in the salvation history and the figure of Joseph. Let us contemplate over the person of Joseph and be inspired by his attitude, his disposition of the heart. Is it easy to cooperate with the grace of God? We know that in our day-to-day life, we confront with so many such occasions where we have to make a choice whether to go along with the ways of God or to go along with the ways of the world. And is it easy to go along with the ways of God? It's very difficult. But then how Joseph obeyed the commands of God without any complaining, that's what we need to be inspired of him. Today's first reading from the book of Isaiah, what we see there is a person called Ahaz, a king. And the king was always seeking advice and guidance for administering his nation. But the prophet Isaiah said to him, "Go to God and get advice and guidance from God. Ask God for a sign, and you will get a sign from God." You consult with God so that you will be able to serve yourself and your people. But then Ahaz the king told, "No, I will not go to God." Rather, he wanted to rely on his capacities and his neighboring kings. So now Ahaz refused to go to God. How are we in our day-to-day life? Are we refusing, or do we refuse to go to God, or do we find time to consult with the God in our day-to-day life? The second reading from the letter of St. Paul to the Romans, where we see the good news of Jesus' coming into the world. God becomes man. God takes or assumes the body of a man. God assumes the body of a human person and then undergoes suffering, crucifixion, death, and then he resurrected and thus affirmed that he is the Son of God. But then these mysterious ways of God was not acceptable to St. Paul. He did not accept it. He couldn't digest this plan of God, that God, the creator of the whole universe, assumes the human body and presents himself into the world as Son of God. So, but then through an encounter with Jesus, where Paul receives the vision and then he got conversion and then he becomes a powerful proclaimer of Jesus and thus an apostle. So first, although he refused to accept the mystery of the incarnation of God, of Jesus, but then he repented, then becomes the apostle of Jesus. He chose to obey the commandments of God. Coming to the gospel, we have the birth of Jesus all about, and the role of Saint Joseph in it. Saint Joseph was already accepted Mary as his wife. They were already engaged. But then when she was found to be bearing a son, Joseph was distressed and he wanted to divorce her, but he decided to divorce her because he did not want that Mary suffers punishment. So, being a just man, being a righteous person, Joseph wanted to depart from Mary quietly. And he was ready to assume or admit all the criticism that would come on account of it. As he was thinking about it, in his dream, the angel appeared and conveyed the message that the child is a gift from God. So, the role of Joseph is to give him name and to look after him. So, when he received this message from the angel, without any complaining, Joseph responded to it, admitted it, and then acted upon it. That's the shining virtue of Joseph, that he was, without any complaining, he became ready to accept the will of God. My dear friends, we also come across many such situations where we are to take some decisions. The choice is ours, whether to go along with God's commandment or to deny God's commandment and go along with the worldly laws. We have also a role to play in the salvation of our own salvation, of salvation of others. We have a role in the family, in the working place, or in the world. Are we able to cooperate with the grace of God? Are we able to cooperate with the God in accomplishing our role so that God's kingdom or God's kingdom of peace, harmony, and joy may prevail? My dear friends, during this Mass, let us ask God to bless all of us that we may be able to cooperate with the grace of God as Joseph did.